Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a year since my last handbag collection video, and like the rest of my wardrobe, I've been downsizing, decluttering, and trying to curate this little collection a bit more. My collection has halved in size, and I want to show you today what I own at the moment, give you quick reviews of the bags I have in my collection, and then at the end, talk about lessons I learned from decluttering and the kind of things that I will no longer buy in handbags moving forward. To give you a little context, because I do a lot of handbag review videos, I tend to follow a one in, one out system. If I'm reviewing a new bag, something else kind of has to go. Before we get started, this video also includes a partnership with Mejuri, who have recently launched their lab-grown sapphire collection, and I'll show you quickly my jewelry stack later on in the video. Let's start off with this handbag from Oleada. So this is a canvas leather handbag. It's pretty cool in that you can wear it top handle, you can wear it as a shoulder bag, a crossbody bag, but you can also convert it to a backpack. There's a lot of versatility in this style. And the reason I would say this is one of my most used is because it's the easiest. The canvas makes it ridiculously lightweight. The leather is like on the thinner side, but it makes it really lightweight, comfortable to use. So I just grab it when I'm running out the door. So pros of this bag is that it's ridiculously lightweight. I would say the material, most people will be worried about it getting dirty. I haven't had an issue with it. Possibly the linen material maybe a little darker, maybe there's a little bit more texture than when I first bought it, but I would say it's in perfect condition without any kind of stains, issues, anything like that. The zip is very smooth, really easy to use. And then you've also got like a zip pocket on the inside and then a back pocket here. Like I said, this bag is the most luxurious like style I've ever seen, but it's designed in a way that makes it so functional that I keep on grabbing for it. It also does come in leather options, but personally, I love the design of the canvas leather combo. If you like understated handbags, you don't like logos, you don't like too many design details, I think this style is really great in leather or in canvas. It reminds me of a lot of quiet luxury brands. For example, Loro Piano does a bag very similar. If you had a large bag collection already, I probably wouldn't recommend this. But if you have a small collection, 1 or 2 bags, you want something that will function for everything, this bag will kind of do it all. Over the last couple of years, a style of handbag I've really liked are the mini tote bags. Let's start off with the Dragon Diffusion. This is another one of my most used bags because it's easy. Top handle, it just opens. So if you like security, this is not the bag for you. If you want to fit a bit more in your bag, but you don't want a huge bag, this type of style is really good. It's very slouchy, it has not a lot of shape, especially on the base, but it means that it sits quite close to the body, it's soft, easy to use. That's kind of the pattern, I think, so far in today's video. These are handcrafted, the quality feels amazing. There's minimal wear and tear, other than the bag just softening in structure. So I've really enjoyed using this on the day-to-day. One con I had to mention for this bag last time as well, is that when you first buy it, I find that the inside, especially in the red, kind of leaves little bits of red peeling on your items. Occasionally on my wallet, on my belongings, I'll see like a teeny tiny piece of like red lining leather that has come off. After using it for a little bit, that stopped. And I no longer have that issue, but I remember it at the start. That was a little annoying. I think in the other colors, it won't be as bad, but I imagine it's worse for the bright shades. If you want something structured, more put together, more polished, more elegant, probably not the option. But if you like something really casual, very cool, effortless, I really like Dragon Diffusion bags. I definitely prioritize these days a lightweight handbag. This weighs almost nothing, and I'll show you the exact weight in the clips. In the same shape, we've got the Rouge Sebastian straw bag. This is a bag that I have loved the look of for a long time, but I always ummed and ahed because I wasn't sure about the brand. I really like the aesthetic of Rouge. I've never had great luck with their quality. I like this bag mostly for the design. I don't think the craftsmanship is anything extremely good or extremely special, but the design is. And it's got the same pros as the Dragon Diffusion bag. Fits a lot, easy to carry, and this one has a benefit of also going over my shoulders. I would say a jacket makes it a bit harder, but if I'm wearing a t-shirt, it'll go over my shoulders. I would also say I'm quite petite. If you're taller, I think this ratio may not work as well. The cons of this bag is that I already can see that the straps are a little bit delicate. They've got some wear and tear already. If you were to put heavy things into this bag, I can see how the straps would not be able to handle that strain. So I wish the straps were a bit better, but I love the design and it feels very chic in summer outfits. I was also looking at something like this style, and I like that this one has a leather handle. I feel like that would make this style of bag a lot more durable. I'm wearing some jewelry pieces today that feel very joyous if you're in summer. I'm in winter and I still enjoy these for lifting up my mood. Mejuri have recently launched their lab-grown sapphire collection. The necklace and stones are dainty, but they really do feel quite sparkly, and I love wearing it with something a bit more colorful. This yellow and pearl necklace I'm wearing is set in sterling silver. It's made from yellow agate and pearl. The other way I would style the lab-grown sapphires is with this mini turquoise beaded necklace. This is a very delicate beaded necklace, but I like the impact of this really bright, intense turquoise shade. Another stacking option would be with this necklace. This is a sterling silver shell with a black cord. I like that with this cord, it's got an adjustable length. You basically just knot it yourself. So you can adjust if you want this necklace to be a little higher, a little lower, to give you maximum versatility. In the new collection, there's also these lab-grown sapphire hoops. So it's a double hoop, and you can kind of see in the clips how sparkly they feel. I'll link to Mejuri's new lab-grown sapphire collection down below if there's something you'll like to check out, as well as to some of the summery, brighter pieces I showed today. Thank you so much for your support. We'll get back to the handbags. This handbag here is the newest in my collection. It's the Demeliere Sienna saddle bag. This bag comes in a lot of classic colors. Also comes in the suede, which I obviously really liked, as well as a canvas version. So if you like a canvas bag but you didn't like the oleata, they do a similar canvas version in the Sienna style. I think the pros of this bag is that you can wear a crossbody, shoulder, you can wear a top handle. I like with Demeliere bags that they're not very heavy. They're usually a very reasonable weight, very easy to use. I would say what comes with that is that the leather is probably a little softer, a little thinner, compared to something like APC. APC bags are such good quality, but you're working with thick, heavy leather. The pro of Demeliere is that for every day, it's just a little easier in comparison, but I don't think you're getting as good of a leather quality or like a construction quality in comparison. A pro of this bag is the design. I really like the padlock detail. I think it's very smart, where the padlock is magnetic, so it closes your bag in a way that you wouldn't expect with a padlock. Suede is always delicate, so it will definitely get very scratched up. You'll see that as I scratch this bag, it leaves a mark. You'll also see that as I kind of rub it a little, the mark kind of goes away. I would expect over time this bag gets very worn in. A lot of scratches, a lot of marks on the suede. If you were to go with the other materials, this won't be as big of an issue. Another pro of this bag is that I feel like it has just the right amount of structure. You can feel that the base is quite reinforced, so it'll keep its shape quite well. But in the center of the bag, it's really quite soft. You can push it down really easily, and it makes this bag easier to use when it's not so structured. I think that it was a missed opportunity to not put a slip pocket at the back. I've owned a lot of bags in this shape. They usually have that slip pocket. I don't know why they didn't do it for this style. It would make it so much more practical. I recommend this bag for someone who likes texture, who wants to add more texture to their outfits. I don't recommend this bag if you don't like any scratches or imperfections on your bag. The suede will be a nightmare. This bag is good if you like a lightweight, practical bag, but if you want the best craftsmanship, the best quality, it's not the thickest leather, and I don't think it's the best in that category. I think the design is very chic, very elegant, and I also love it in the canvas. This is the last of my kind of mid-luxury bag, and then I just have a few more designer options. So this is the LM boomerang bag. I've seen a lot of bags and I don't think I've ever seen anything in this cool shape. It's got the hardware, which is super nice to use as a top handle. The fact that this is more of an east to west style means that my phone slides in really easily, and I mostly use this as a top handle. If you use it as a shoulder bag or crossbody, you may get a bit of noise with this bag. You will get a bit of noise with this bag. I don't think it'll move all the time, but it's possible for this hardware to click kind of back and forth, creating some noise. That could be kind of annoying, so it depends on how you plan on using this bag. The leather quality on this bag looks really nice. It's not as light, I think, as the Oleata or as the Demier. It's a little thicker, more substantial in the material. But at the same time, I also don't feel like it's excessive. It's too structured or too heavy. The magnetic closure is super secure. I like that all the hardware has the LM logo printed on. Everything feels really intentional, really elegant. I love using this bag. This bag is slightly heavier than everything else because of the hardware, but nothing too excessive or crazy, in my opinion. Out of this mid-luxury price point, I would say LM is one of the brands I'm most impressed by. I think the quality of their bags, the attention to detail and everything feels a little bit higher end than what they are. Like, it feels a level above everything else in what I've seen from them so far. I actually do have one more in this category. This Kuyana bag is the biggest bag in my collection right now. So I would still say it's small to medium, but compared to everything else I own, it's the largest. This bag recently released and they did send it to me to test out, and I'm gonna give you a very balanced opinion of this bag. First up with Kuyana, very quiet luxury, very minimal. The focus is definitely on quality, so you feel that in the materials they've used. The leather is much thicker than Oleata Demier. It really feels very nice to the touch. It's a very heavily textured grained leather, so there's no way you would be able to scratch this bag. Here's the thing though, with that slightly thicker leather, you feel it in the weight. So this bag is empty right now, just the strap is inside, and it's got a bit of weight to it. I'll talk more about this later, but the nicer quality something is, often it also means that it's heavier. Something about Kuyana that a lot of people know this brand for is the craftsmanship. So I will say the stitching, the hardware, and the amount of detail that's gone into it, you can just see in the bag. This color did surprise me. It's more of a warm red, but it's also a little bit muted, so not super bright. And I think the shade is really elegant. I recommend this bag to someone who's looking for a small to medium bag, who wants a bag that could fit their jacket or their scarf, or like an umbrella, a book. But you don't want to max out the capacity of this bag, because with the style of this handle, I think it will start to feel cumbersome. If what you're carrying is not too heavy, but it's just larger in volume, I still think this would be a really good option. If you want to use this half the time as a shoulder bag, 100% recommend it. It will be really easy to use, but just don't have really heavy things and only plan on using it top handle. That could make it kind of annoying. Moving into the 3 designer bags that I basically now have in my collection. This is the Loewe mini bag, and it's one of my oldest designer bags. I recently did sell my larger size because I could no longer justify having both. What I love about this bag is the design. I still think this puzzle design is so unique. I love the colors of this bag with the sage green, the black, and the beige. I love the slouchiness, I love the casualness, and this bag is high quality but really lightweight. It does not fit a lot. To be honest, as my phone gets bigger, it does start to struggle a little more, but it fits all of my other essentials really well. I've reviewed this bag numerous times in the past, my opinions haven't changed. If you ask me whether I would keep the mini or the small, obviously the answer is the mini. I don't need to carry too much, that's the main reason. I also love like a smaller bag. I find it a bit cuter and I'm more drawn to smaller sizes. If you want to wear a bag as a crossbody, the mini size functions a lot better, whereas the small size crossbody still works, but it starts to get a little bit bulkier. I think this is one of those bags where I'll likely have it forever, but we'll see. Over the last year, I purchased this Chanel mini flap pre-loved. So I got this one secondhand from an Australian seller called Blue Spinach. So basically they have a stand at our department store in David Jones in the city. They're a very trusted reseller, so I felt very confident to go with them and I guess save a little bit on retail prices. This is the mini rectangle flap, I believe, and this one is in like a red and white tweed material. I've always known that one of my dream handbags is like a tweed flat bag. I just love the tweed so much. I love the texture. I love that it comes in like different colors. I find the material of this very satisfying. This bag has been reviewed 101 times. It's not too much for me to say. Purchasing it pre-loved, it was in almost, I would say, perfect condition, lightly used on some like corners, edges, but near perfect. I like that this size fits all of my essentials quite well. I have a clip on the inside that just shortens the strap so that it sits more balanced on my frame, and it fits all of my essentials including my phone. I've worn this bag a fair amount, sometimes more casual, sometimes more dressy. I would say mostly it has to be an occasion rather than just the running around bag. I really did have a very good experience shopping with Blue Spinach, so I can imagine in the future if I were looking to purchase a designer bag, I would 100% look pre-loved first instead of buying new. This is another flat bag, and this one is pre-loved, almost vintage. It was around 2007, so I guess almost 20 years. Because it was purchased pre-loved, I've honestly almost forgotten the name, but I think it might be the 2.55. It is a slightly larger size. It's in navy with gunmetal hardware. So this bag I've used a lot more than the red one just because it's more durable, it's larger. But I will say for this bag, and I've heard this a lot, is that it does get heavy. With the double flap design, there's quite a lot of leather used in the bag. With the chain detailing, it gets quite heavy, especially if you were to pack it full. I like the gunmetal hardware. I think it looks a little bit more edgy for such a feminine style of bag. And I also like the hardware design where it doesn't have the CC, but it has the original clasp detail that I think Chanel designed the bag with. It felt like a nice nod to the history of the bag and not too modern, which is what I liked. I would definitely in the future consider possibly swapping this out for a smaller size if something does come onto the market. But we'll see about that. For now, I love it. But if there were a smaller option, I think I could also swap it out for that. The final bag in my collection is a very fun one. This is the Rabanne Star Bag. This is my evening bag. If I'm going out at night, if I'm heading to like a bar or something like that with friends, this is the bag I'll use. This bag catches the light so well. It feels very playful with the star design. As you can see, it's a pretty simple construction, so it's really all about the design. This is one of those pieces where it literally is my evening outfit. I don't have a lot of going out at night clothes. I wear usually pretty simple things, things that will work for daytime. And then I'll just combine that with this bag and I'm ready to go. This has been a very functional piece for me in terms of styling. The bag itself, in the design, is really not that functional at all. I love it, but I don't know if I would recommend it. To wrap up this video, I want to talk about, I guess, some lessons from decluttering. I'm going to go through these quickly. So the first thing I've learned is that there is a balance between something being nice quality and the weight of the bag. Usually, the nicer the leather quality is, the heavier the bag will be. I ultimately want a bag that's somewhere in this middle range, where I'm going to be able to use it comfortably. And then the bag quality is going to last me without an issue. Examples here would be the Mulberry Bayswater is a really high quality bag. It's so impractical, so heavy. Some APC bags, especially as they get larger, can start to feel a little heavy. I think it's still within reason. I still think they're really, really great bags. If they're too heavy, I start to prefer something a little bit maybe lower quality, but lighter, easier to use. Second thing I've learned is that if a bag is lighter, if it's more functional, something you need to know is that it's more likely it will lose its shape a bit quicker. So with APC bags, as I said, the heavy, they never lose their shape. They never even lose a tiny fraction of their shape. And I think that even if you wear that bag for 20 years, it's still gonna be the same shape. If you get a lighter bag, little thinner leather, it's more likely that it will lose its shape quicker. I've personally made my peace with that. I'm okay with bags losing a little bit of shape if it means it's easier to use. Number 3, certain bags I've decluttered, they're made from full grain leather, they're technically a really nice quality. However, I feel like the leather's being treated a lot, so it starts to feel almost a little synthetic. My best example here would be Palen. I've always really liked the design of their bags, but in terms of quality, I always feel they're very heavily treated. The honest truth here is that sometimes a bag will market itself as full grain, as like the very, very best quality, but ultimately I need to see it and I need to feel it in my hands to know what the quality is truly like. This Kuyana bag feels beautiful. I don't think it's full grain leather, but it feels beautiful. Whereas the Palen bags, even though it's full grain leather, it feels a bit synthetic. Something I'm always looking out for is the strap length of a bag. This applies especially for crossbody or shoulder bags. I like my bags to sit quite high. I think especially if you're petite, a lot of bags just end up sitting really low, and I think it slightly throws off the proportion of whatever I'm wearing that day. This is something I always check, because if the straps are too long, I will 100% avoid it because I'm not going to use it. Sometimes it's simple, where you can just go to a cobbler and they add in a hole for you, often free of charge. However, with certain bag designs, there's no easy solution, and I will just skip those because it doesn't look good in my outfit at the end. Tip number 5, with luxury handbags. Over the years, there's always a couple of handbags that are the it bags of the moment. I have learned in hindsight that in the moment, it always feels like my style. It always feels somewhat aligned. In hindsight, I can see that it wasn't really my style, it was just a trend that made me feel like it could have been my style. I think increasingly, I want to purchase more of my bags pre-loved. I want to purchase bags after the popularity has died down a little bit, so I can better judge whether that was for me. So just having a bag sit on my wish list for a bit longer. For me personally, because I like to review things on my channel, this process sometimes doesn't work. But if I wasn't reviewing handbags, everything would sit on my wish list and will wait for the trend to die down before I decide whether it's for me. Even if we're not trying to follow trends, sometimes trends are done in a way where they feel almost classic, but in hindsight, they weren't as classic as I thought they would be. Number 6, I want to get more of my handbags pre-loved. So I've spoken about this already, but I think it gives me a little bit of room to experiment and make mistakes in a less risky way. Because if I purchase a bag at pre-loved prices, I could easily sell that again at a similar price and then purchase another pre-loved bag. And it's almost like a swap as opposed to purchasing something new and then selling it in this cycle. Since I've discovered some local sellers that I trust, it's hard for me to justify getting something new because the pricing is just so much better. I started to use base shapers and bag organizers. So I used to never do this because I felt like it was pointless, but for certain kinds of bags, slouchier bags, it actually does wonders to make the bag look so much better, not just internally, but from the outside. A good example would be my Lower Bay mini puzzle. This bag has softened a lot over the years, but having the shaper inside, it makes it look a little bit more structured. So depending on what you like, what kind of look you're going for, they can be so helpful. Certain bags, if I want to keep the full capacity, I'll just go for the base shaper. If I don't mind the capacity becoming a bit smaller, I'll go for the full organizer. Just depends on the bag. Next thing is the weight of a handbag. Throughout this video, I constantly talked about this bag being easy to use, and most of the time, I'm referring to weight. The bigger the bag, the lighter it has to be. With small bags, because I can't fit as much inside, if it's a little bit heavier, it's no big deal. Whereas with big bags, if it starts off heavy and then I pack more things in, it becomes impossible to use. So then I only end up putting a few things in, but then because it's a big bag, it's pointless. So those are bags I will never buy again. Final thing is about lifestyle, and we hear lifestyle talked about all the time, but I want to talk about the nuances that can sometimes make a certain bag more or less practical for me at a given time. The first thing is about styling. So for example, if I'm wearing very, very casual outfits and I almost want my bag to elevate my outfit, I'm always going to go more structured. If on my lifestyle I'm wearing really polished things, looking very dressed up, and it's almost a bit too much, and one dress outfit's down, then I start to go for slouchier, softer options. This styling thing is a huge factor in what kind of shapes of handbags I'm reaching for the most. When I'm going through phases where I just want to be the best dressed I can be, I really like good craftsmanship. Like I like the right details, I like hardware. I like bags to be really well constructed, beautifully made. So that's kind of one side of things. And then when I'm in my more low-key, more casual style periods, that's when bags like this get so much wear. It's low-key, it's simple, it's lightweight, and it's just so functional. That was my handbag collection at the moment. So yes, I've decluttered quite a few options. I want to keep it about this size moving forward. So it's always one in, one out, whatever I review. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know if there's a bag you would like to see me review in the future. I would love to put together another one of these videos very soon. Thank you to Mejuri for working with me. If you'd like to have a look at these pieces, everything will be linked down below. Everything from the Lab Sapphire collection to the brighter, more fun, summery pieces. Have a lovely week ahead and I'll see you next one. Bye.